Now then, Gregoire de Mevius. He's still driving for Nissan. Last year it was Group N. This year, fully blown ex-factory works car Group A, and he's inherited some of the factory mechanics as well, so it looks like it's going to be a good season for him. Droogmans in the Escort, Cosworth, and Snijers is driving one of those as well. Very, very fast. Thierry in his Opel Astra. And here comes Snijers and Danny Colbunders in their Bastos Escort Cosworth. Very fast, very exciting. And here we see Snijers in full flow. It's pretty similar cars to Droogmans, slightly different gear ratios, but a bit more about that later on. Here's Ferreros in his Lancer Integrale. It's looking a bit dated now, the Integrale, isn't it? That's an ex-Tabaton car, that one. And Marc Soulet just spinning out. He's lost his Rizzler sponsorship. This is his final rally with Ford. He's going to move on to Toyota with Konica as his new sponsor. Now here's a new name for you, Kurt Victor, driving Droogmans' old car as part of the Boxes team. Box is investing a lot of money in rallying and racing now. So after the first special stage, de Mevius is in the lead, and we have a chat with Snijers basically. Well, he said, I had a problem with this first special stage, the super special. I missed a gear and blew it basically, and you can't afford to miss a gear in your super special stage.
Is het een grote verandering met die 7-bak?
Well, just talking about the car, he said the RAS crew have really put together a good car for me. He said, I'm getting used to it. I've got to get used to the 7-speed gearbox, he says, because they're a very close ratio, changing gear a lot more.
De eerste indrukken zijn heel positief, dus ik denk dat het een heel goede auto is.
But he's very pleased with it. Now Droogmans went quite well. Slightly different rear axle ratios, as I said, but apart from that, they're very similar cars. How's your car going? He said, it's great. He said, it feels more like a go-kart.
Het is meer een go-kart gedrag, dus maar eerst rap. Hij houdt goed de weg. Tevreden.
But he's pleased with it, and so he should be. So we move on into the night stages. De Mevius off the podium first. De Mevius and Droogmans put in some really fast time, 2:17. They actually tied the same time and really flying through the night. Droogmans lost about 2 seconds after that. The two-wheel drive cars, of course, got a bit of a disadvantage. Here comes Snijers and Danny Colbunders. Really cornering superbly, these little Escorts. It's a bit reminiscent of the old Group V cars in the old days. There goes Soulet. He had a few engine problems, Marc Soulet, unfortunately. And Kurt Victor still going. It's a funny story about Kurt Victor. I mean, he was very much an amateur driver, driving an old BMW, and really not in the running. And he was just picked up by the Boxes team, who sponsored Droogmans here in the Escort Cosworth, and they gave him Droogmans' old car and said, go on, we'll support you, we'll make you into a champion. Thierry moves up into 3rd overall, and it'll be interesting to see whether Kurt Victor actually does perform up to his potential. Whoa, and he's off the road there, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. He's struggling with the steering there. I think he has a problem with the steering. And he lost about 5 minutes going off the road there. So Milissen, haven't seen much of Jean-Marie Milissen in the Baudouin Vicetoise Ford Sierra Cosworth, and you can see they're going to pull the back end off that if they're not very careful. But he gets out of the ditch, says thanks to the spectators, and makes his way off, losing something like 5 minutes. Big problems with the power steering, and they're going to have to do a little bit of work on that, I think. And he's way down the general classifications. Marc Soulet still on a few problems with his engine, and that's Victor still at it. Victor's up there in the top 10. Little 309 GTI driven by Bush there, Xavier Bush and Michel Quevin. We've got a British team in here, which I haven't mentioned because we haven't seen them yet, driving a Ford Sierra Cosworth, and that's Phil Bays and Stuart Fennick in the Relax Racing Cosy. But here's Snijers, he's down. He's 4 minutes and 18 seconds down at this stage. Well, he said, I went off the road on the Clementine special stage, and I lost 4 minutes there. But he said, luckily for me, Droogmans lost 5 minutes. So I'm confident I'm making my way back up. So after day one, this is what it looks like. So here it comes, the Nissan GTI, as I said, an ex-works vehicle from last season, and he's inherited a few of their mechanics as well for his Group A challenge. Bruno Thierry is going like a train. Very, very talented driver, one of my favourite drivers. Patrick Snijers keeping out of trouble, mastering his 7-speed gearbox, and really enjoying his drive in the little Escort. It looks so fast. Now then, here's the newcomer, Kurt Victor, in his Sierra, and believe it or not, he's in 4th place. So the faith placed in him by the Boxes team is paying off. Leader in Group N then is another Cosworth, and second in Group N we've got Nicholas Min. Now here's Droogmans. He's got so many problems, Droogmans, he will not remember this rally in a happy frame of mind. He's got steering problems, he's blown his engine up, there's an awful lot of work to be done on it, and they'll be having quite a heavy debriefing with the reigning Belgian champion there. So hard luck for him. Anyway, there's Munster, a privateer. He used to drive works drive for Opel, but he's on his own these days. Munster is 9th overall. Right, here comes Mevius, driving brilliantly. He's way out in front, but he's being chased quite hard. Snijers is really applying the pressure on now. And look at the crowds that turn out for this event, you know. It is always so well supported in Belgium. And you can see that Thierry is now 2.5 minutes down on Snijers. And Kurt Victor having an excellent drive. He's going faster than Snijers on 1 or 2 of the stages. Here comes Soulet. He wanted to drive with Toyota this year, but he hasn't got it together yet, I'm afraid. Well, the Mevius now starting to lose a bit of time. And here comes Snijers, who is absolutely flying in his Cosworth. It's been beautifully prepared. Snijers at this stage is the fastest man on the rally, no shadow of doubt about it. But Kurt Victor having a good drive, as we saw there. So we're going to actually have a chat with Kurt Victor, because we haven't met him before on Screen Sport on Go. And he says, I'm really pleased with the car. Last year he was driving an old M3, and he got the opportunity for the Drive with the Boxes team, and he's up there, doing well. Be pleased because the conditions were very good, really. And Mevius starting to make a few mistakes here now. Losing a lot of time, and he has to have another crack at that one, another bite at that walnut, and he's off now, fine. Very slippy indeed, a little bit of sleet, but no major snow. And Snijers is having problems too. Colbunder's head down over the pace notes. Bruno Thierry in third position, still driving immaculately in his little Opel Astra. And then Kurt Victor, quite extraordinary. Driving well, with a really good sort of professional head on his shoulders. He's come from the amateur ranks and he's really proving how well he's going. And there's the leader in Group N again. Well, the winner, and believe this or not, this is the first ever overall rally win that Mevius has had, although he's been world champion twice in Group N.